All right. Well, thank you for joining us today, Mary Alice. Before we get started, you want to give an introduction to the students so they know who you are?
Sure, thanks, Zach. My name is Mary Alice Terrero, and I am the Director of Academic Affairs here at the CEA Kappa Civil Center in sunny Sevilla. I've been here in this position for about 11 years, so I've had a lot of time to get to know a lot of students and getting excited to learn more about the UCAP students.
That's great. For those of you on the info session here, we're recording this because of time zone, but we wanted you to get to meet Mary Alice in person, or as much as this is in person, see some photos, and we've got some questions. So we're going to do this a bit as a podcast style. So pop some slides up here for you. So Mary Alice, one of the first questions that we get from students is, they know they're doing a UCEAP program, but they're working very closely with CEA Kappa. So can you tell us a little bit about the CEA Kappa Center in Sevilla, what the classes are like, the staff that they'll be working with when they're there?
Sure. I mean, that's a great question because I know that students are really concerned about that. The CA Kappa Center is actually a center. It's nestled into the middle of the historic center of the city. And it is a beautiful location, but also within that location, we have a full set of classrooms as well as some outdoor spaces. So as you can see, we have some large classrooms where we can do movies and presentations and things like that, or class discussions, although the pictures we have right there are more the teachers using some a little bit more IT, but a lot of the classes are generally discussion based or presentations and things like that, as opposed to lecture. We don't really have a lecture hall situation here, so it's a lot of engagement, whatnot. And then we have a couple of nice outdoor spaces. We have a rooftop where sometimes students have been able to prepare different activities and performances. As you can see, those students getting ready to do some local dancing, and they were able to borrow some outfits for that particular day's activities, or our downstairs patio inside. It's an interior patio, and it allows students to sit outside and maybe do some studying and whatnot and use that space as well. So it's a typical building set up for contemporary education.
That's great. And we'll talk about the kind of activities that you all do with students out in the city. But before we get to that, I want to talk about Sevilla.
Mhm.
Students, Spain is very popular for study abroad, but I know when students think of Spain, they often think of Madrid, Barcelona. Sevilla is not always at the top of the list, but what makes Sevilla special? I know it's an amazing city, but what can you tell us about the town and what the students can expect there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Sevilla is a little bit of the unsung hero. It's the fourth largest city in Spain, so it is quite a large city. Obviously, not as large as a Los Angeles or a New York, but it is a decent sized city. But it has a real small town feel, so that you really get to know your neighborhood. You get to know people in your neighborhood. But yet, if you decide that you want something more cosmopolitan, perhaps you want to go to the opera, perhaps you want to go and see a large concert or something like that. All of those things are also available to you in Sevilla. And if you would go to the next slide, you can sort of see how students are enjoying a little bit in and outside the city. So it also, one thing that makes it really special is because we are nestled in the historic area, students can take a few steps right outside of the classroom. As you can see, there's a student giving a presentation about a pillar that he had done a research project on right down the street from us, or different students are out and about in the markets and whatnot doing an activity for an anthropology class, and they were gathering things, and all of that is right outside the center. If you 20-minute walk from the center and you're in a whole different neighborhood, it's all safe in the downtown, but yet you can see many, many different things and visit monuments and traditional architecture and whatnot. Or there's another example at the bottom of students who are on a company visit. They're visiting a local theater for a class. So the size of the city is actually part of its charm, that we're able to leverage a lot of resources for students while they're here, and make those visits very impactful, so that they have not only what they're learning inside the four walls of the classroom, but also allowing them to experience a lot of real life situations in the street that really make it more meaningful and allow us to really develop lots of different angles of whatever course content area we're looking at.
That's great.
Yeah.
And from our perspective, one of the things that we like about Sevilla, and especially for the Global Start program, is it's large enough to do all the things that you're talking about, but it's still small enough to feel like home. We know that students, this is your first time sort of off at college, perhaps first time living away from home. It's still a manageable city. It's a walkable city. You can get to Madrid, you can get to Barcelona, you can travel, but it still feels like home. And we feel like it's a good kind of blend of the two. Experiences. But speaking of living away from home, can you tell us a little bit about where students will be living, the housing that we'll have students living in?
Sure. Oh boy. I think that's one of the highlights of the program that students aren't necessarily expecting. You will be living in a new modern facility that is prepared for university students just like yourselves. Okay. It's not the same type of situation like it is on a US campus where it's associated with a particular institution. They are students from different universities and different programs that might be living there. They tend to be mostly Spaniards living in these particular residence hall, but it is a residence hall. As you can see, the two middle pictures are a little bit of a snapshot of a sample room. So they're small individual units where you have a mini kitchen and a mini study area and a mini area to sleep, so that you do have your privacy that allows you to really excel in your studies or get some downtime or get rest when you need it. But you can also see that they have a large communal kitchen. So oftentimes students get together and take turns making dinner together. So you can make a reservation for a large communal kitchen. Or there's a big TV area. So maybe students will get together and do some TV or movie nights in the residence hall. And then you can see some other pictures just taken last week of a first year program as they were getting there and they were doing an activity and getting to meet some of the local students right there in the residence hall. So you can see that it's spacious with lots of different nooks and crannies for students, but you also get your own privacy, which I think is a really nice mix. What I didn't put in the pictures because I could only put on so many pictures, there is during when the weather is warm, the students can go up to the rooftop and use the pool. There's a weight room and things like that. So it's really quite complete. And it's about a 30-minute walk from our CEACAPA Center, which probably, if you're not used to walking, sounds like it's a bit of a ways. But for someone who's living here in Sevilla, a 30-minute walk sounds like it's just a few blocks away. It's a beautiful walk right by a park along the river, cut down the street, and there you are at the CEACAPA Center.
Yeah, it's a beautiful walk. I did part of it and absolutely agree with you. And I think what I really appreciate about this housing, I was there last year, is that it kind of balances students on a study abroad program. We know this is the first term in at college, and so there's this kind of FOMO, this fear of missing out of what might be going on campus. And I feel like the center does a really good job of replicating a lot of the student activities, the community building that you would get on campus, but while you're doing a study abroad program. It's a really special space.
Yeah. And we also have an arrangement with the residence hall that we ask that they group all the students together. It's a large facility, but we also feel like, as you said, it's important for students to feel that sense of we are UCAP. We want to blend with other students, but also to build a little bit of that loyalty to the home campuses. So we are able to do that for them.
That's great.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier about getting out in the city and the sort of ideal location of the center. And one of the things that's exciting about the first year program that CEA Kappa runs in Sevilla is how the the teaching that goes on in the classroom is kind of seamlessly integrated with the teaching in the city. So, can you tell the students a little bit about how they'll learn about Sevilla, how it kind of folds into the academic material of the program in Sevilla?
Absolutely. And thank you for mentioning that, that it is an intentional process. Okay. So not only are there certain areas that we address during orientation, as you can see, my colleague Michaela is giving an overview of some of the city layout in the official orientation sessions as part of the first year program. And we have certain pillars and things like that that are our guidelines in terms of developing some of the extra bits of know-how that we feel that students will be essential to academic success and social success and interpersonal and intercultural success and all of that. So not only do we do the official orientations that are robust about health and safety and wellness and what to do if you have an emergency and all of that, we also do a how-to series. And there's a picture right there of students who were on the how to public transportation. So that's their picture of a scavenger hunt as they're on a local bus. So they had to do a certain activity that got them on a local bus, that got them to the metro station and whatnot through a guided activity. And there you can see some students giving us the picture that they needed for that scavenger hunt. In terms of getting an overview of the city, we do a bike tour so that students on that first couple days they can cover a little bit more territory around the city, so that they get the layout and how things are connected a little bit more than just what their walk might be from the residence hall to CEACAPA, but to understand a little bit about the city and get that mental map going a little bit. As you can see, it's part bike tour, and then that's part of a walking tour that the students were doing through some of the streets and guiding and learning about what they're going to do. And then students also live and learn during that orientation week in some of the local sites in and around Sevilla. So there's a picture of some students who just recently went to Cordoba as part of that. And so they do not only a city tour, but also the monument tour. And not only are students learning about the monuments and the history and being able to tie that all back to their classes, we also wanted to be some good, clean fun for everybody and that there's team building. So you can see, in all the different pictures, it's all different groups of students. So it's an opportunity for team building, getting to know each other, relying on each other, um, building inclusion and whatnot. So we take all of that really, really seriously so that you're not just learning to be in Sevilla, you're learning to be part of the organism of the program, and also being a little bit of support because, as you said earlier, I mean, this is the first semester away, so people really need to rely on each other for a lot of different things and understand each other and lean in. So we like to provide those opportunities along the way in an enjoyable, pleasant way.
That's great.
Mm.
Um, so obviously they're going to be working with you. They're going to be working with a number of other people in Sevilla. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about the staff that students will be working with when they get there?
Absolutely. We're a full staff. We are a full year-round staff, right? So there I am. The person who is the center director is there in the middle, Victor Gonzalez. He always refers to himself as the conductor of the orchestra, right? So he is very active in making sort of the high level planning is all done. And then we have a group of people who are known as program and student services. So that would be Arano, who is the manager of that particular program, particular division, as well as Dile, Pilar, and Ana. And they are actually the probably the first faces that students really get to know, because they are the people who are doing they're in the airport when students are arriving, some of them, on a rotating basis. They're organizing the activities, organizing the excursions and things like that. Esther Morantes up there next to Victor is the senior housing coordinator. So she is the person who students will learn the very specifics about their housing accommodations and some of the rules and some of the rights and responsibilities within that structure. So she's very busy. And then right under my picture, we have Kevin Whalen, who is the internship coordinator, and Michaela Yisrael, who's internship and academic coordinators. So I work hand in hand with Michaela as we organize classes, work with faculty, get everybody on the learning management system. We interface with students if they need a little bit of assistance in their classes and whatnot, and all of that. So we want to make sure that you're taken care of not only from the first second that you walk out of the exit door in the airport, but all through your getting settled in your housing, through your academics and whatnot, so that we recognize, yes, it's 4 months. Everyone's going to have their ups and downs, but we also want to make sure that we can mitigate any of those downs and keep as many ups as we can.
It's such a welcoming team. I got to meet
Mm.
several of these folks last year, and yeah, I really appreciate the care that you provide for all of the students there. We know everyone's going to have a fantastic time in Sevilla and learning and getting to explore. As you say, there's ups and downs. If there's a problem while students are on site, health and safety is a top priority for us. We've got great services, insurance, and support on the CEAP side. But for students there in Sevilla working with CEACAPA, what other support do you provide for them?
Absolutely, Zach. I mean, that is very, very important to us as well. So as soon as students start receiving information from us and whatnot, they will receive the emergency line. The e-line that we provide to students is an emergency line that is actually operated by us so that students do not have to feel like if they had an emergency, they would be calling someone and have to give an ID number, explain who they are. No, it is actually going to be answered by someone on the team. I think that's really, really important. And then that emergency line, of course, is 24/7. We rotate the phone and all of that. We're also guided in terms of not interventions, but in terms of mediating crisis and understanding crisis, advising. So we have a home office that has a lot of trainings that we've all done so that we understand what students may need when we may need to involve other people on the emergency line and whatnot, or help students to direct them to other resources, because we know that it's a not one size fits all approach. Obviously, the students have a lot of different things that may happen to them, and we want to make sure that they're experiences as frictionless as possible, and to provide the resources for them. Sometimes it's as simple as a little bit of TLC, a little one-on-one time, and understanding a little bit that you're feeling far from home, or you might be missing people at home, as well as we have full resources here so that if a student needs extra resources in terms of counseling and whatnot, we have a wealth of literature that we can then provide to students, and also resources that they can reach out with, local resources to continue therapy or talk to a counselor and all of that. We also use an app called OnSolve, and OnSolve is really, really great. We ask for, during orientation, we'll instruct students how to access the app and download the app. You can't really download it until you're actually here because you need to be part of the program. And that's a wonderful app. And it's basically that would locate students in the event of an emergency. So we hope we don't have to use it, but say, for example, there was some type of emergency in London, we would be able to download, we would be able to get into OnSolve, we'd be able to circle the area and see if there were actually any students in that area. If students had done their part to register their travel, which is part of the what OnSolve does, you register your travel, and then we would be able to directly target those students who are there to assist them and to provide support. So that's essentially how we can help manage student wellness, not only from someone who walks into our office and asks, but if they're actually outside the city. All of this information is gone over in a lot of detail during the orientation. So if a student missed a little bit right now, not to worry. This is just a foreshadowing of the information that's going to come that they will be briefed on during orientation so that everyone feels like they have the support and the wherewithal to continue through a very healthy and wonderful semester.
Yeah, as you say, hopefully we don't have to use many, if any of these resources, but it's a period of transition and change. This for you all students. This is going to be your first term in university, your first experience in Spain, perhaps, maybe your first travel outside of the United States, and students always talk about how much they grow and learn on study abroad, but we know at the root of that is you can't really grow without challenge, and getting through that challenge sometimes requires support. I love the sort of images of, holistic health, making sure you're caring for yourself and caring for others. And so, couching all of this health and safety with, caring for yourself, and the staff in Sevilla there, I know, are committed to that. And, any service that you might typically look for at a UC campus, mental health, accommodations, or just someone to talk to as you're going through, a tough period in Sevilla, I know that
Absolutely.
you all are going to be there to support them. So thank you for that. Thank you, Mary Alice. I know this is done in over Zoom here, but looking forward to the students getting to meet you in person when they arrive in a couple of months. And thank you again for all this information. I really appreciate it.
Great. Well, thank you. It was really fun, and we're really looking forward to welcoming the group. So thank you.
All right.